morning. Good morning, Grace. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I know rainy mornings are hard mornings to get up and get motivated, so thank you for being motivated this morning. I chuckle a little bit at doing a 10-minute mentoring on networking with people in this room who I know are could teach me a lot about networking as well. But with the motto in life that we are always learning, we mentor, we mentee throughout the rest of our lives. So I'm grateful to have a few minutes to spend with you this morning just to share some high-level thoughts on networking. Everybody has their own style, everybody has their own purpose, both for networking as well as for your broader purpose, and that does impact what you do and how you do it. But I have found over my years of building a network that there are some things that I think work pretty well and can be starters for people, if nothing else. I want to start with a couple of questions, and nothing difficult, but I want to get a sense for who's in the room. How many people here like to go to places to network? Good. So we have an extroverted group, a group of purposeful people here, which shouldn't surprise me that you all are here for a networking session. When you think of networking, shout out some words that you think of. Connections.
Awkward conversation.
Awkward conversation. Thank you. I knew somebody would say it. How about one more?
Elevator speech.
Elevator speech. Great. Wow, you guys are good. I'm going to start with the awkward conversation because the number of hands that went up in this room when I said who likes to network is uncommon. And I think you all know that. You probably already stand out in the crowd. Those of you who I know you stand out in the crowd. And why is that? Because people put such tremendous expectations on themselves when they're supposed to network. I hate the word networking because it sounds like I am here to build and I'll have awkward conversation, but I'll get your card and I will follow up with an email. That is no fun. That is phony, that is not authentic, and that is not really going to help to build a meaningful series of relationships. And so if you think about what you're doing in your, again, quick show, who's in private practice of law? And then who's in-house in some capacity? And then others, teaching, other things, courthouse. So everybody has a different set of reasons for being, and everyone has a different set of relationships that will be meaningful to their work. But if you go big picture again into this, why am I in this networking realm? Well, because you've been making friends since you were a tot. I have a 5-year-old. He loves nothing more than to go to a playground and make new friends. And if all of us, as we went into our playgrounds, which take the form of cocktail parties or CLE events or whatever they are, and went in with the same enthusiasm that a 5-year-old does, you guys wouldn't be able to keep up with your follow-up emails. Maybe you guys could because you're good at this. But the bigger point is, if you view networking as making new friends, building relationships, just making some connections, that is really, I think, for some people, a magical switch for them. Otherwise, it seems like this daunting, I'm supposed to go network. I don't know what to say to these people. It's weird to walk up to someone I don't know. Let's talk about the elevator speech comment. I'm guessing that most of you in this room have your elevator speech. If you do not, you should. That's your 30-second at the most, I would tell you, about who you are and what you do. Hit the high points. If you have one, I would encourage you to polish it off every few months. You'll get stuck in a rut otherwise. But it also would tell you that you're not building, expanding, growing who you are and what you're doing if you've had the same elevator speech for too long. Reinvention is also what networking is about, continuing to build who you are and how you do it. Staying with the elevator speech for a minute, when I say 30 seconds at the most, everybody's been through a program where they say, okay, get it down, you don't get more than 30 seconds, and you're supposed to recite your whole life in a box in 30 seconds. I say, don't do that. You should start with, hi, I'm Jill. Well, you shouldn't say that, but you get the point. Listening is something that lawyers actually do very well. Good lawyers do very well. And networking, I have found the best relationships, the best contacts, connections I've made are where the opportunity, I was very disciplined in just listening instead of talking. I've had conversations with people where I've walked away and honestly said to myself, that person knows my name, they know where I work, and that's probably all right now. But I could write a book on what they do, what they're thinking about, and what they're planning. I'm holding some magical keys right there. Not that I want to be unknown, but because I know I'm going to follow up based on what I learned with some meaningful request for more time together or an introduction to someone who I think could be helpful to them. And then that's when they start to know me and what I'm about. So look at each opportunity as a unique opportunity to learn about others, and you go do your whole, how am I going to connect this and make this work on your own time. Most people love to talk about themselves, not because they're egomaniacal, but because they know themselves very well. They're having awkward conversations. Many people, as you know, most aren't comfortable in those rooms, but they do know one thing very well, and it's the person they are walking around in. So always give people the opportunity to talk first and the most with your open-ended questions that, again, every good lawyer knows how to ask. So I always joke that lawyers are way ahead of everybody else in the networking game anyway, because we have been trained and beaten into us how to get witnesses to talk. Not that we should view networking opportunities as deposing witnesses, but we do know how to open up and get people really comfortable in talking. So don't hesitate to use those skills. A couple of other basic things that I'd like to throw out, and the one sounds like a bad thing to say standing at the Bar Association, but I know that you'll get it. If you are hanging around with lawyers mostly, stop that. I love lawyers. Lawyers are my favorite people on the planet by category, and a lot of them by individuals. But there was a time when, as a young lawyer, I realized that every day after work or every lunch or whatever it was, I was with my dear friends who I loved and spent time with, and they were all lawyers. Fun, interesting, but was not going to help me start thinking differently, see the world through different lenses, and really just engage with different sectors of our community. That, oh, by the way, lawyers need to know everything that's going on and how they all connect, because lawyers do sit in a unique position in that regard too. There are sectors, and then there are lawyers who really can look in and around and connect sectors to one another through our unique lenses. So please diversify your collection of people who you call friends and who you gather with. And then the last one is, it goes back to this awkward, and I know everybody has their own style and way to do this, but the most common thing I hear people say that is so weird about networking is it's bad enough to approach a group or a person and say, "Hi, I'm Jill." It's even harder to walk away when you've got what you need, and you didn't come here to talk to one person, by the way, but you got to move on. There are so many ways to do that, and they're gracious. And oh, by the way, if you're ready to move on, the person you're talking to is ready for you to move on too. One of you has to take the first step to say, we've met, this is a good thing, now let's both go do this somewhere else, because they're there for that same reason. It was nice talking to you. I look forward to following up. All kinds of nice ways that say, I'm not leaving you forever, but I'm going to leave you right now. And the best way to learn to do that is to go places alone. And I mean all by yourself. Otherwise, you and the other person you came with will have your glass of wine or your sparkling water, and you will stand together and either look intimidating to others or not force yourself out of your shells. So please go places all by yourself and be that person, because you also look inviting to people when you're alone. So I would say this group clearly is ahead of the game, and that's great. So bring others along with you and then set them off. I'm going this way, I'll meet you on the other side of the room in 10 minutes. Do that for people. They'll be mad at you and they'll be uncomfortable, but they'll make new friends and they'll have you to thank for it. So with that, I will stop. I think my 10 minutes is up. And so I will turn myself off now, and we can have some further conversation, I think, going forward.